Hey everybody, I'm Amanda with DevExpress, and welcome to today's webinar, Diving Deeper with CodeRush Consume First Development, presented by Mark Miller, Chief Scientist of the IDE team, and DevExpress Technical Evangelist Paul Usher. In this session, learn how to exploit the power of CodeRush, diving deeper into Consume First Development features that can make your API easier to use and save development time. These features can also make test-driven development faster and easier. Thank you so much for joining us. I will now hand things over to Mark Miller.
Thanks, Amanda. And with us today, we've got Paul Usher from Down Under, the land down under Australia. Say hello, Paul.
Hey, good day, everybody.
So we're going to learn about Consume First Development in CodeRush and the features that are available. And I'll talk a little bit about what CodeRush is for about maybe 30 seconds, and then we'll just kind of dive in. If you're new to CodeRush and you want to see maybe the one first or second video you should watch, Paul, maybe you can find links to those and put them in the chat window while we go. CodeRush sits inside a Visual Studio, and it provides a bunch of features to make development faster, more productive, and as well as debugging as well. So when we say development, we mean debugging and writing code. That's my 30-second intro. With that, we're going to focus mainly on the Consume First Declaration features. I'll explain what those are. There will be some other features that we'll see along the way because they're useful and they're going to help us. But mainly, we're going to focus on Consume First Declaration. So first of all, let's look at the question: what is Consume First Declaration? And the idea is that normally, if I'm going to, like, for example, create a new class, I might come in, I might use CodeRush templates to do it. For example, I might come in here and say, this is my calculator, and I'll define it, and I might want to come in here and I want to say, like, set memory value, or actually, let's turn that into a method. So I'd hit mspace, set memory value, and then I'd pass in whatever the value is. And I'd actually change this to type double. So here's what's happening is I'm coming along here and I'm essentially declaring what the API is for this piece that ultimately would be maybe moved down into the core. And this might be a good time to point out that in my solution, I've got a console application, I've got a DLL assembly called core, and another one for testing. The testing is I've added a reference to the NUnit framework. And that's essentially it. They're all just new projects, a new console and 2 new class libraries. So we might write it like this, and then so somebody that needed to use it would come down here and they'd say new calculator, like that. They would declare it. They might type in like var mycalc equals, and then they might come down here and they might say mycalc dot set memory value, and then pass in whatever that value is going to be. We're going to stick on memory. So that's an example of 1, creating an API, and 2, consuming the API. That's consume last development, right? We define the API first, and then we create then we consume it second. Now what we want to do is we want to turn that around. So instead of using templates to create the class and the method and to declare it, we want to do the opposite of it. So the idea is we come down here and write this code first. In fact, let's just start from scratch. I'll just type in new. Instead of calculator, I'm going to create something called a document reader. So it doesn't exist yet. So I've typed in new document reader. I can hit the semicolon right here, and it puts it on the outside of it. And at this point, I can hit the CodeRush key. And the CodeRush key, by default, it's Control plus the backtick, which is on the tilde key for US keyboards. Might be somewhere else on your keyboard if you don't have a US keyboard. Tilde looks like that. Okay. I've also rebound it to num0, and I do that because it's a big, fat key, easy to hit. And I happen to have a full, full keyboard with that, num0, and I don't really use the numeric number keys for anything else. Other people will bind it maybe to just the backtick key, or you can bind it to something else. But these are the default. That's the default. Okay. And so to review, what I did is I typed in new space. I typed in document reader. In fact, let's see if I have this plugin installed. I'm not sure if I do or not. CodeRush tool windows keys. That's what I'm going to show you. I'll put this in, I'll put it over here. I'll put it down here. So I'll have this across the bottom. And this will show you the keys that I press as I press them. So do it one more time. New, space. Now you can see at the bottom the keys I'm pressing. Document reader, open paren. Then I hit the semicolon. Okay? So I've done that. Next thing I want to do is I want to declare a local. So I'm going to hit the CodeRush key. So you'll see me hitting num0, and then I'm going to choose declare local. Or I could choose implicit. So just put the bar there if I want to. Either way works. Okay? I've copied that to the clipboard. I might go down to the next line and say something like document reader.read. Okay? Or maybe I might say something like load from file. And give it a file name. Okay? Like that. All right, so now what I'm doing is I'm creating the consumption code first. In fact, let me comment this out for a second. Let's create a new calculator, just kind of following that example we were doing before, right? So we're going to say new calculator, like that. Hit the CodeRush key, declare a local, copy to the clipboard, hit enter, come down to the next line. Calculator dot, what do we call it, set mem value? Well, actually, you know what? I'd rather just do this. Memory value equals 14.3. Okay? That's what I want to do. Now, what has changed? Well, number one, we're creating our consumption code first. Number two is I'm now saying, here's how I want to consume it. Right? My point of view is from the consumer's point of view, not the API writer's point of view. So as a result, something changes. We used to have this, something that looked like that, because that's the way the person who created the API wanted to make things work. Okay? But we don't have that anymore. We now have this instead. Okay? So we've done that. Now let's put the caret on the piece that's undeclared. We'll hit the CodeRush key. Whoops. Hit the CodeRush key. And we'll choose declare class. And we get this. It's given us, notice the memory value piece has been declared for us as well. We hit escape to get back. Okay. Let's do this. Let's come back over to it. I just want to get this out of console application 2. I'm just going to cut this to the clipboard. Actually, no, I'm not going to do it with this one. Let's do it with the next one. So that's one example of the benefits of consumer-first development. You're writing the consumption code first, and in many ways, it's fewer steps, right? I'm just saying, here's what I want to do with it, and then I hit the key, and it just declares everything for me. Let's go back down here to document this piece right here that we created. Let's do the same thing. And this one, I'll move this out. And then what I want to do is I want to put this down in the core here. So we'll first declare it. And that's the declaration. I'm just going to get it out of console application 2. I'm going to come down over here in the core. And I'm going to paste it. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say read a file to match type. So now I've got my document reader file right here. And there's my document reader class. Now I'm going to hit escape to get back. And now it doesn't know what it is, and so we need to add an import a namespace reference form. I'm not going to be able to show that piece, so we'll just add it by hand. The import namespace is coming from another plugin that is available. It's available separately. I wonder if let me just do this. Let me just do a save. I wonder if it's taking it somewhere else. Nope. All right, so let's do this. We'll add a reference to it, and then add a reference to core. Normally, you'd be able to grab that from the import namespace plugin, which I wanted to show a link to it. Is actually you can give a link to that plugin. I'm sure you can find it. I'll bring it up here too as well, so people can see it. I may be able to do it. So this is from the CodeRush plugin page, and this is it right here. It's CRM import namespace. So that's what we have here. Okay. So
Sorry, Mike, just to jump in. One of the things, particularly for the new people on the call today, is the extensibility of CodeRush there. You brought up that plugins page. One of the real powers of the core of DX Core, which is behind CodeRush and the refactor, is the fact that you can create any of these plugins and extend things that you're doing. I'll post a link to that page now as well, just so that you can get an idea as to how extensible this whole thing is.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm still like, so wait, hold on. So now we need to add a reference to that. Let's see. Hold on a second. Sorry, my phone alarm just went off. Okay, one more time. Use the core there. And so now we have these pieces there here. Oops, we have an extra slash there. Okay, so let's look at that. What we did is we created a couple lines of code and we hit the CodeRush key. If we go over into Document Reader, you can see it created a load from file for us. It created the read method for us as well. We come back over here, we can do new things to it as well. We can say Document Reader dot start time equals, I'll use a template called DTN for datetime now. And now we've got a property access on it. We put the caret here, hit the CodeRush key and say declare property. We actually have three choices. We can do a regular property, which after we use the target picture to select its location looks like this. So we have some throw news inside of here, not implemented exceptions. And undo that, hit escape to get back. Oops. I can also come in here again and I can say declare property auto implemented. Select the location that looks like that. So now it's got that implicit backing store behind it. So do that. Then come back over and do one more time and declare property with backing store. And so now we have a variable called start time and a getter and a setter. Now, it's probably worth mentioning, so I'm going off course just a little bit now. We're not going to talk about, for just a moment, we're going to step away from consume purchase declaration just to show you something that's useful. If you have this situation where you have, in fact, actually, let's do this. Let's undo this. And let's come back over here one more time on this. Let's start with the first one we did, which was just declare property. Right? So it gets us these not implemented. If you have this situation, which sometimes Visual Studio will generate code that looks like this, and if you have this and you want to add backing store, you just put the caret at the start of the declaration, you hit the CodeRush key, and you choose convert to property with backing store, like that. The other option, if I hit undo on that, is convert to auto implemented property, like that. I can also, once I convert it to, like, for example, a property with backing store, like this, if you have this situation, I can come in here and I can convert to an auto implemented property. Okay. By the way, for the folks who are new, you may have noticed that those menus were different colors and showing up in two different places. So let me explain why, just for the folks who have not seen this before. So when this menu pops up, the refactorings that are in red, the ones on top, are all going to change the code, but won't change behavior of the code. The pieces in blue might declare things that don't exist, or they might change behavior depending on what they are. So here, for example, convert property with backing store. That's definitely changing the behavior of this code. Whereas before we used to throw exceptions, and now we're doing something completely different. So that's down here. Same thing with auto implemented property. Both of those change the behavior of the code. Okay. But if we're here and we say let's convert to auto implemented property, this does not change the behavior of the code. Okay, that's why it's up here in the refactorings, because it doesn't change the behavior of the code. Let's do something else. Let's say inside of the getter we do something like, let's call load from file. And pass in string.empty. Just type in s.e for string.empty. Okay, so now we have some side effect on that. Now if we come in here, we notice the refactoring is gone. It's not there anymore. Okay, so we take that out, we come back up. Oops. Come back up. And now it's back, convert to auto implemented property. So CodeRush is only, this refactoring is only available if we can truly convert it to something that's equivalent to an auto implemented property. That makes sense? Okay. So let's go jump back over into the document reader, and I'm just going to put the caret here and hit the tab key. Just tap through it, go out to the references that I have to it. So that's how you set the start time. Let's go in actually. Let's go look at that one more time here. Let's go to definition on that. So we have a getter and a setter inside of that. Let's change this to something with backing store, and let's kill the getter. So we have only a setter on it. So we've got something like this. Okay. All right. Now let's come down here and let's write a line of code. So I'm going to copy this clipboard and I'm going to say if space. I'm going to paste in, and I'm going to get this. It changes what's on the clipboard because I was inside the conditional statement. So now we're checking to see if the start time is equal to now. Actually, I maybe change this to less than or equal to now, like that. And then we're going to come down in here so we're getting a squiggly line on this because we don't have the getter, right? We took that out. So we can come in here with CodeRush and we can say declare getter right from this calling location and put that in there. Now it puts the getter in there for us. Similarly, if the setter didn't exist, and we take out the setter like that, and we jump back. Now this line doesn't work, but we can come in here and say in the code menu and choose declare setter. And put that back in. Okay? So that's some consume first declaration for properties, for property getters and property setters. Again, I'm going to just divert, show you something useful, and then we'll come right back in again. If you're here, sometimes you might have something that takes a long time. Or consumes resources, or you just want things to be more efficient. Okay? What you can do if that's the case, you can put the caret at the beginning of the setter, and you can choose introduce setter guard clause, and it gives you this. Let me undo that so you can see that preview hit. Introduce setter guard clause. So now it says, hey, if start time is equal to value, then just get out. We're not going to do anything. Otherwise, we're going to do some code that we'll execute some code that might take a long time or consume resources or whatever. Okay, so that's helpful. Also, you have the opposite of that. You can remove the setter guard clause very easily as well. Okay, so that was a little diversion from that. Let's create an event for the document reader. Let's say maybe an event for when the file is loaded. Okay, so we're going to I'll use a CodeRush template called EV to just declare that event. We'll call this file loaded. I'm going to copy that to clipboard, and I'm going to come over here to event handler, and I'm going to change it to file loaded event handler, like that. So now we have a delegate that we need to declare. There it is right there. Okay, so and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to choose declare delegate. By the way, I give you the reference to that import namespace plugin. I'm noticing just some performance pieces on it as well, so that's why it's not something that's shipping with CodeRush yet, I think. But it is something that we are likely to ship in the future, probably 14.1 time frame. But you'll see down in the bottom in the status window, you may keep your eyes down here, and you might see that it's doing a check there. Let's bring it up again and see if we see that. So here you can see this. It's filling it up asynchronously. Down here, import namespace there. It was taking a while to bring it up. So now we're going to choose, instead, we're going to choose declare delegate. And so now it creates a new delegate for us called file loaded event handler, and it's passing in these event args. We're going to change this to the file loaded event args. I'm just pasting in that piece I had in the clipboard again. And now we're going to hit the CodeRush key here. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, it's the import namespace piece that's getting me again. I may have to pop that out so we can go quickly. When we're going to choose declare event args descendant is what we'll do. Okay, like that. And so now we've created an event args descendant. Notice that the caret is right between the parens right here. So file loaded, we can now specify, we can pass in some parameters, like we might want to pass in the name. So I'm going to use a CodeRush template, V for variable, S for string, and then expand that out. And for the new folks, expansion is either the tab key by default or the space bar. You can change it either one of those. So I type in VS and then the space, and it expanded to this. And now we'll pass in like the file name, and I'll hit enter, and then I'll do a space, and then I'll type in maybe a date, VD8, like that. So V for variable, D8 for date, and that's date time. and we can call that unloaded, something along those lines. Okay, so so now we've got these pieces here. Next, what we can do is we can say, well, okay, we might want to declare some fields or properties for these. So let's take a look at those options. So right now, if I put the caret here, I can hit the CodeRush key, and I can choose declare initialize field. It gives me this. Right there. I can choose. Oh, sorry, not there. I'll be over here. Yeah, import namespace. I'm going to have to take that out, I think. Declare initialize field as well here. So I've just got it in these two places. So now I've built two fields for this. Let's do this. You know what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to save this, and I'm going to just close down and restart. But I'm going to take out that plugin, the import namespace plugin, and I'll show you also how to do that. Right. So I'm going to come in here, open the plugins folder. So I brought up the about box. I right-clicked it, and it's going to open up two folders for me. These are the two folders right here. And this is the one I'm going to remove right here, the import namespace one, just for performance and so that the rest of it goes well. So I'm going to close this down. We'll start the second instance of it. So I'm closing that down, and I'm going to go in. I'll need to close down this one too because it's got the same plugin running.
So while you're restarting Visual Studio, Mark, we noticed that your CodeRush settings are actually in a Dropbox folder. Does that mean I can synchronize files across machines that way?
Yeah. The answer is essentially yes. Although I was working on that today because we had a customer ask that question, and ultimately I got to a problem. I got to difficulties with both Dropbox and SkyDrive, and I'm not sure if it was Windows 8.1 or not, but I was having problems where Dropbox wasn't synchronizing everything, and then SkyDrive was marking everything as read-only on one of the machines. And so I think that both of those may need some tweaking. I intend to answer this question, with certainty, but I was actually having problems today when I was trying to set that up. So I'm going to delete this right here. I'm deleting the import namespace plugin that I downloaded and put in this folder, and then we're going to start up Visual Studio. We'll start up both 2013 and 2012. And we're going to come up. We're going to open up in 2013. We're going to reopen the console application. And now it's going to be much faster because, like I said, the import namespace plugin was taking more time than I wanted it to come out with factory results. Okay. All right. So you just saw me declare these two fields. Let me go ahead and I'll delete these fields, and then I'll show you the other alternative. I can come in here and I can choose declare initialize property, and there you can see what that looks like. We can go ahead and say enter on that, and you can see get time loaded right here, and there's the property for it. I can hit escape to jump back, and I can come over here to file name, do the same thing, declare initialize property, and that's what we get. Okay, so so that's another way to do it. Notice it gives me private setters for both of those, and I'm pretty sure that's because I'm in an event args descendant. Let's just double check that. Other class. Let's just grab this here. Paste it and try just the constructor. And come in here and say declare initialize property. Oh, it does a private setter anyway. It does the same thing in both cases. Okay. All right. So we got a private setter for it. So we can do it individually on both of these. The other thing we can do is we can get right here on the constructor name, and we can come in here and we can choose. And now notice things changed. Instead of saying declare initialize field, it now says declare initialize fields, plural. And you can see in the preview hint in the background what's happening. And the menu is slightly obscuring it. Let's go back. Here we'll do like properties. You can see. So the menu is slightly obscuring the preview hint. You can hold down the control key to hide the menu and then see what the preview hint looks like. See if it's exactly what you want it to be. Okay. And then just hit enter to pop those in. Okay. And so that gives you the declaration for those properties for our event args. So we'll go back to where it was used. file loaded right there. And now we can come in here, and we can also come in here and we can say like create event trigger. So this is kind of a consume first. We're kind of getting slightly out of consume first, but we're basically creating things based on that which already exists. So we'll call this maybe a commercial break right here. And we're just going to create an event trigger for this so we can fire that event on file loaded. And then we can make a call to it from here. So we can say on file loaded and pass in whatever pieces we're going to say here. So sender is going to be this, and then new file loaded event args, and then here we can say the file name. So call this file name, and the time loaded. Okay, like that. And then semicolon. We can come in here. We can say declare local, file name, string empty, like that. Or we might say, well, you know what? I don't want it to be a local. What I really want it to be is a field. We choose declare local there, file name. So it's equal to string empty. So now we've got file name there and there. Right, that was pretty easy. Escape to get back, by the way. CodeRush key again, declare field again, time loaded. So we'll just save this. And I'm okay with that initialization as well. Just sort of around that. So we've got our two fields here. And then I might want to actually declare a property for both of these. I guess we're kind of still slightly in the commercial break, but I'm going to say encapsulate field, and I can choose either read only or read write. I'm going to choose read only. And so now here's access to the file name. I'm not going to replace this. So it's asking, do I want to replace this field everywhere? I'm going to say no. So I'll just hit escape. And
sorry, Mark. Sorry, Mark. Can you turn the keys window back on, please?
Yeah. Thanks for noticing that. Okay. And so I've declared I've declared this property called file name right here, and I can do the same thing with time loaded. So come in here, choose encapsulate field read only, and then specify where I want to put it. Time loaded, I'll put it right there. And again, it's asking, do I want to replace the individual fields with the property? And I'm going to say no to that. Just for escape. Okay. Okay. So it's the time loaded piece right there. All right. All right. I'm just noticing this type over here should be a type string, so to change that, I'm just going to type in TS type, T for type, S for string, and it just replaces it out with string. So we construct. Okay, so let's go back over into document reader where we're using it. And here's where we're using it back there in the original code right there. So let's see, we have done, we've shown how to create properties, we've shown how to create methods, and we've shown, I'm sorry, you know what? I've just totally, I'm thinking about something. I noticed that the load from file was an object. I just changed that. But I'm remembering that when I started this, I think this was missing a piece right there when I did the declaration. So in other words, we had code that wasn't syntactically correct. And I'm wondering if that's what caused the problem with it. And I just want to investigate that for a second. So I'm just going to say new car, and we'll declare a local for it. And I'm going to come down here and I'll say car dot go to, and I'll pass in a string, like my stir, like that. And we'll try it first with this. Come in here, we'll say declare class. It gets a string, it gets it right. Let's undo that. So I just undid it, and it's gone away. And let's give it a error, escape error, like that, and try and declare it and see if it goes to object. You see, that's what was the problem. That was the problem. Okay, did you notice that? Was that clearly explained, Paul? Did you understand what happened there? That I had the reason that was an object and not a string. It should have figured out that this was a string, but it didn't because I was missing a slash, an extra slash there when I did the declaration.
Absolutely.
Just to verify, I'll put the slash back in. I'll fix the escape error. Come down here one more time. Choose declare class, and there it's back to string. So, by the way, what's cool about this, right, is I am totally doing this like impromptu, right? In terms of what the content of the demo was going to be, it was essentially undecided at the start of I knew what I was going to show you, but I didn't know what classes I was going to build and what method names and things like that. And it's really how it should be, right? The essence of consume first declaration is the keys that you should be pressing really are the keys that declare the names for things. You should be naming things once, or maybe using keys to find the name of something, like in Intellisense. But then after that's done, then you're mainly using the CodeRush key and choosing an item. Declare this, declare that. Right? To declare this otherwise would take a lot more keystrokes than what we saw. Okay? All right, so I'm just going to undo that, come back over here. I'll start typing something in Intellisense. I'm not sure what I'm going to get. I'm trying to find something interesting. Let's try bit converter, see what we got on there. Okay, so I'm just going in here and I'm looking through, and what I'm essentially doing is I'm going through some code. I'm creating code using Intellisense. So let's go ahead and we'll call this method, and I don't understand my error here. Double for bits, it's going to take a double value. That, and let's go grab a toString on it. And on the string, let's grab something else. I want to insert an index of, and something like this. Like that. And so let's just only assignment call increment decrement await and new object structures we use as a statement. So it looks like it's not liking. This is what I'm not sure I understand this. Or did it go away? Looks like the error went away. Okay. So now what I can do is I can come in here. So I've typed this in, right? I've gotten to this point. But what I really want is a variable to hold that. So when you come here and I would say declare local, and what happens is CodeRush says, okay, I know that that's an int. Okay, because it's taking that whole thing down. If I take out index of, it's going to say, okay, I know that's a string. What's really cool about this is if you've ever gone into Intellisense, and unfortunately I don't have a great example off the top of my head here, but if you've ever gone into Intellisense, you get to something that returns something complex and hard to define, right? You're either stuck with going and saying it's a var, or you got to find out what the type is and type it in totally by hand. And so this is very cool because it gives you that type if you want to get that type. It calculates, it figures it out based on the expression you have. So that's declare local. Okay. Okay, I'll give you one more example, and I think let's create a new method, and this method is going to be greet customer, like that, and we'll call a method called log hello customer name, like that. Okay, and declare method. I'm going to do declare method on log message. That, whatever, we can do a console write line. I think we have a WL for write line or debug write line. That'll work for me. I'll take it for now. Okay. And what is it? CW for console write line? That's how we do it. Okay, so those are just some CodeRush templates right there. This one I used, what I used, DWL? DW? No. I used WL? That's what I used. Okay. So WL gives me write line, and then this one is CW right here. Okay, so I've got my log, but what I really want to do is I want to go from here and I want to really pass in customer name. So what I do is I select it, and it's a few steps to do it, but it's actually much faster than doing this by hand otherwise, right? To turn this into something else by hand, we'd have to come in here, declare it. In fact, let's create something that calls this greet customer like that. Okay? Now we've got the column code to it. All right, so we've got hello customer name. So first step is we hit the CodeRush refactor key, and we're going to just hit enter on introduce format item. Second step, it's selected now. We're going to hit the CodeRush key. We're going to say promote to parameter. Okay, and that's essentially it. It's given us a good name, but we could change that if we want to. But that's it. It's like a two-step process, and now we have greet customer, and we're passing it name. I just realized I pasted that in there, but that's static. This one's not static. We can fix it here. Can we do it? I don't have convert static. Oh, because this is it's using log. So we have to do this. Make member static. Log is now static. And now come over here and choose make member static again. Okay. Now we fix the problem up and down. All right, let's set a, let's go back to our document reader. Let's create a new attribute for our document reader. We can create an attribute here. We'll call this my super at, my super, whatever, we'll call it my super. And we'll pass in some parameters to it. We might want to say index equals 3, like that. And name equals the document reader, something like that. And then we can come in here into my super and choose declare attribute, and now it gives me this. Okay, I feel like I need an applause button or something like that, or a, oh my gosh, that's just crazy amazing button, right? It's saving you. There's a lot of code that is saving you in terms of what you otherwise have to be typing in. Okay, let's go back into Greek customer, and let's say we want to create another version of this method that accepts an enum, and we'll pass in like customer type dot new, for example. So I can come in here and I can say declare enum, like that. I'm going to hit undo and get out of there. Or I can, well, actually, let's see. Let's do this. Let's create a new local customer type. By the way, here, I just paste, this is what I did. Paste, and then I hit Control-A right here. And in C#, it'll declare the variable for me automatically there. So I'll just say customer type is equal to, I'll grab customer type.new like that. And now I'm thinking I might do something like this. I want to copy that to the code and say if customer type is equal to customer type dot I guess I'm trying to find a word other than old because I think that's not the best one. Oh, by the way, this too. If I'm here and I want to create a block, I just hit in B space right there, or B tab. The tab key is your template expand. Okay, so now let's come in here and we're going to go and declare this, declare enum. And notice we have a reference to new here, and we have a reference to old right here. Okay, so let's get here, we'll choose declare enum, and now it's giving us both new and old. And that's part of CodeRush's intelligent, deep scanning of the code to get a sense of what's out there. Let's take this one, and we'll go in and we'll. I'm going to do just a couple of refactorings here. I'm going to split initialization from declaration. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say widen scope, promote to field. So again, we're kind of taking, commercial break here, customer type. And now we have, this. And the other thing I want to do is I want to pass it in as a parameter. Like that. Okay, so this started by me saying, let's say we wanted to create another method that took in a second parameter, customer type. So I can come in here like this, and I can say, let's declare the method, because it doesn't exist, like that. And so now I've got my method declared, and we might say the first piece is name, like this, and the customer type. And I might do some code here, whatever it is, dealing with customer type, and followed by a call to the other one, Greek customer. Whoops. Customer, and just passing in there. Okay, so I might do it that way. Or what happens if I really just wanted to add customer type into the original? Let's show you how to do it that way. So again, we're still kind of slightly out of the consume first declaration piece, but let's cut this away and get it back to where it compiles. And now here we hit the CodeRush key, and we're going to choose add parameter. We'll specify the argument, paste in customer type, and hit enter. Okay. Oops, let's try it one more time. Add parameter, pasting in customer type. and hitting enter. I don't know why it's passing in. It's sending the null here. This looks like a mistake. It could be because of the. I'll have the devs look at this. Could be because of. Actually, I'm not even going to speculate on what it might be. So I'm going to just delete the extra piece that it added for me. And shoot, it didn't give me what I wanted here either. All right, that's not what I was expecting to happen. So I'll have the devs look at that. We'll see what's wrong with that piece, and we'll fix it. I should also mention that I have a build that is not a released build. So this is a version of CodeRush that's built from internal stuff. So Paul, could you do me a favor and just note the time, send me an email on that, and I'll pass that on to the devs. At this time, so folks look at the video at this time.
Already done, Mark.
Thank you, sir. So awesome. Okay, so let's see if there's anything else I've missed. Oh, I wanted to show you create method contract. So create method contract kind of is close to consume first development. It's based on, I want to create some contract code based on what I pass in. So I can put the caret here, like on an empty line at the beginning of a method, hit the CodeRush key, choose add contract, and now I can choose exactly what I want to do, how I want that contract to play out. So for example, I can use an assertion, I can call contract assert, contract assume, contract.invariant, requires contract. I can exit the method, or I can throw an exception, okay, to make sure. And so, for example, we just do this, and there's our new argument exception. I want to call this super. I want to see if we can do this. I don't know if we can do this or not. We declare, see if we can declare a class. So with properties, if I choose with properties, it's going to grab these two pieces. What I'm interested to know is if it's smart enough to make it a descendant of exception. If it's not too big of a deal, but oh, there we go. So it gave me a descendant of exception. So it was smart enough to know that because I was going to throw new, that I could do this. So I've never used this feature before. Every once in a while, I find something in CodeRush that I have not seen before. So there's our super argument exception that we just created. Okay, we can jump back over here. I haven't shown you declare interface, so we can do that. Let's see what else. I've showed you declare method, initialize properties, initialize fields, setters. I haven't shown you declare struct, but it's kind of easy to imagine. So declare struct and declare interface are the last two pieces, two primary pieces I haven't shown you. So I my super interface like this. I don't know. Let's see new what I have out there. Let's say a new car. Do I have a car? Calculator. I'll take calculator like that. So it goes iCalc interface like that. You should be able to get right here and choose declare interface. Oh shoot, I don't see it. Oh, I'm sorry, because I'm missing a variable. So there we go. I just hit Control A again there to give me that quick variable declaration. And now I've got declare interface, as I was expecting. So now I've got iCalc interface right here. New calculator does not implement it, so I'm going to have to go over here into calculator and go ahead and say, hey, you implement this thing. And now that it's implemented, I should be able to go on anything that's public and say add interface, iCalc interface, like that. And that's selected for me, and I can see it over there in both places. Okay. I can also, by the way, if iCalc interface didn't exist, let's say we remove that. Let's go over into solution watch and delete the file. iCalc interface, come over here. Oops. Delete the file. And then we can come back over into calculator. We might put in we might create a new, just while we're here, we might create a new method called add. And it might take in maybe two ifs, for example, first and second, like that. Okay? And we'll make that public. And so now we've got two public pieces here. We come in here to this, and we come in here and we can say declare interface, so we can do it here as well, right? Declare interface was available on the local line where we were creating a new interface, and it's declared here, and it's available here. So I can go ahead and declare interface there. And oh, why didn't it grab the two? It should totally have done that. Let's try one more time. I just want to undo that and see if it was the parser I didn't have some pieces. That's interesting. So that should have worked for me. I'm surprised that that did not work. Totally should have grabbed these two pieces. But we can still add them. I'll go ahead and add them in there. And we'll just choose add to interface for now. We'll come up here and we'll choose add to interface on this one as well. Normally it would grab every single public piece and brings it across. I'm not sure why I couldn't. We'll look into it and fix it. And then the last one is to declare structs. So I might have, for example, something down here where I say new memory folder, something along those lines, and declare local, and then come in here and choose declare struct. Okay. And there's my struct. Okay. So now I'm going to switch over into 2012 because I just no particular reason other than I happen to have a some code here in another application that's running. So it could also be in 2013. Doesn't really matter the version, but I just wanted to show this. I have an action link right here, and I might want to let me just change this to add to cart like that, and we'll create the action. So if you're an MVC developer, this should be somewhat familiar to you. Call this add to cart, and we'll create a controller called shopping cart like that. So the solution is over here on the side. I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to hit the caret here on shopping cart. I'm going to hit the CodeRush key, and just going through the availability here. We're going to choose declare controller. So we'll do that. There's a controller, and it's also already declared add to cart for us as well. There's a squiggly underline underneath this. If I hover the mouse over it, I can say, it says, oh, hey, you can declare an MVC view. We can go ahead and declare the view like that. Okay, it brings this up. I cancel on that, and I just hit the CodeRush key. I can come down here and choose declare view as well. For folks who are new out there, if you see the icon, the Visual Studio icon next to the left of a menu item here, that means we're going to show you, we're going to bring up the Visual Studio interface for this. Often it involves a dialog. So rename, and I think there are a few other features that we have. There are two different versions that you'll see available to you, and you can pick whichever one you want. If you're choosing a CodeRush refactoring, then you're likely to see no dialogues at all. In fact, I'm pretty sure you're not going to see any at all for every single one that we give you. So all the UI is right in the code. We'll go and choose declare view, and then it just brings up the same thing. Okay, if I hit escape to get back, I might copy this down, get this down to another line, and I might want to say remove from cart. And change this to remove from. By the way, I selected this quickly using, let's bring up this, with the tool windows keys so you can see it. Drop it down here. So I selected this quickly. I'm using Alt left and right arrows. Alt left gets me to the A. Alt right gets me right in front of the T. Alt right again gets me in front of the C. So it's just taking me to the uppercase letters. I can combine that with the shift key, so just take this, boom, boom, like that. Alt shift right arrow twice and say remove from cart, like that. Hit the CodeRush key, and we should see the declare action. Okay, there it is. And then we can select where we want to put it. There it is right there, remove from cart. We can come in here and declare the view as well. Okay? So that is the declaration pieces. That concludes the discussion about consumer first declaration. I'm just realizing I did not do anything with, but it's essentially the same thing as what you've already seen. Instead of working locally, you're just going to be over inside a test file, like for example this one right here. And I'll type in TF and hit the spacebar to create a quick test fixture. We might call this doc reader tests, like this. And we will just call it test load, like that. And we might say something like new document reader. Hit the semicolon, there it is right there. And let's have to see the reference on there, so I have to add the reference. and core. There's document creator right there. Okay, come back over. And sorry, new local on that, and what's going on here? Why are we doing that? Using cloud. That's what we did. Okay. And then just start writing my test. So I might do something like this, and I want to say, like, for example, load from file, and doesn't pass in string.empty for now, and then say maybe assert true, so AT for assert is true, and it'll be document reader dot is empty, okay, like this. So now I have this is empty that's not declared, so this is like test-driven development, right? I haven't built it yet, so I'm just going to come in here at the CodeRush key, choose declare property auto implemented, ask me where I want to put it. So again, with just about every CodeRush feature that takes you away from where you started, we drop a marker so you can hit escape to get back. So when we take you to that location like this, so you can put that code in there, and then you hit escape to get back to where you started. Okay. So it's very fast. Any questions, Paul?
All the questions so far have been answered, I think, Mark. Raul just asked before, what's the best way to learn how to code like you are now? So we're making the assumption that he means with code first or consume first type scenarios. I posted up a link for the getting started guide on the DevExpress website as well. That's got some great tutorials and documentation.
Yeah, here's the thing. I find that there's in order to code at the highest speed, there's a nice balance between consume first declaration and using templates to do the declaration. Right? So we didn't really talk about using templates to do declarations. I showed a little bit at the beginning. Like you saw here, I typed in TF for test fixture. If I want to create a new method, I just type in T spacebar here, and it's going to give me a new test method. Right? So I find that there's a nice balance between knowing the templates, knowing the declaration pieces. With regard to discovering what's available, if you put the caret at any particular place or select, you should see if something is available for that, you should see if a refactoring is available, you should see a little dot underneath it. I'm not seeing it here. I'm wondering if that's a 2013 issue or if this is maybe an option as well that I haven't checked. But what we can do is you can also just hit the CodeRush key, right? If you want to do something, right, declare something that doesn't exist, put the caret on it and hit the CodeRush key. And then you can discover what's available by seeing the list of options. And then as you move down through them, you can see preview hints that give you a clue as to what in terms of what code would be generated. So
the other thing that is really useful, especially if you're starting out with CodeRush, is just spend 5 minutes a day learning one new feature, and within a month you'll be coding so much faster than you would have thought possible.
Yeah, I think that's true. I even used to tell people that within a week you should be about 25% faster. If you're just using Visual Studio alone, if you spend like 10 minutes a day, at the end of the week you should be about 25% faster. And really, I don't think most devs are like, oh, I want to code faster. I mean, there's some devs that are thinking faster than they can code, right? And so they're always trying to catch up with their thoughts. In which case, CodeRush is really for you, right? There's nothing that can get you faster than CodeRush can. If you're a presenter and you want to be able to handle questions that take you off course, there's nothing that can allow you to do it like CodeRush can, right? Nothing can allow you to just, answer somebody's question with hypothetical code, right? And writing it right there on the fly in front of an audience with the people. Nothing can do that like CodeRush can. Or maybe you just want to prototype with a customer or prototype with other team members, right? CodeRush is very, very fast there, right? Use the consume first declaration coupled with the templates. Use both of those, you can go very, very quickly. I'm sorry, I was slightly distracted while I said that. What was the question that led me down here, Paul?
Were there any books or any other learning material to allow you to get on top of this? So I posted up the getting started link to the support site, which is great. And then Bradley just asked if there's a most frequently used list of combinations. So my response to that one is that I'll put a quick blog post up about that as well, as to the ones that get you up to speed really quickly.
Also, let me show you one other thing too that may help as well. you come in here and you go type in devexpress.com/mark. That's my name. You'll get to the blog, and at least the current blog is the CodeRush shortcut keys. If you click that, oops, up there down here, CodeRush shortcut cheat sheet. In fact, I'm going to just paste this in right here into the chat room so folks out there can get that. Actually, maybe you can do it for me, Paul. I wanted to show this page right here. So here we have, yeah, unfortunately because the screen resolution is a little bit. Should I zoom in this way? I guess so. I'll do it that way. I'll just control it. All right. So these are some features. These are all the shortcuts right here, including pieces about the test runner and debugging, things like that. But these are not all the commands that ship with CodeRush. In fact, I was looking at this today and I was realizing, oh, you know what? One of the commands that's really useful is repeat last test run, which is great for test-driven development, right? If you're going to do that, and it's not inside of, it's not bound by default. So I actually created a binding for this inside of CodeRush. So I'll show you how to do that. CodeRush options. And then I'm just going to click on this button right up here for shortcuts. And there's the one I added right here. So I added one, Control-T followed by the number 2, and it's repeat last tests. So whatever you last ran, if you ran all the tests in the class or just one particular test, whatever the last run was, you just hit Control-T2. And this is a binding I added. To show you how I did it, I'll just delete it. We'll come in here and we'll say, hit this button to create a new shortcut. And I'll say Control-T followed by the Control-2. And then I'll just type in repeat last test. So that's it. And this is like the list of all the commands that we do. By the way, if you want to, you can also, this is like totally digressing and off topic, but you can do things like edit.cut. This is not in the list. This is a Visual Studio command, but you can bind shortcuts to anything you want bind shortcuts to Visual Studio commands just by typing in the command name here. And that's useful because CodeRush has very sophisticated context. So you can say, oh, I only want this command to work when, for example, I don't know, the C++ language is active, for example. You could do something like that. That doesn't make sense for this particular example, but you can create a very refined context that only fires this command in this situation. And what that allows you to do is what's useful about that is you can have the same shortcuts give you different results depending on context. And sometimes that's useful. We have, for example, inside of CodeRush, many bindings for escape, many bindings for tab. So depending on what's happening, tab key can do different things, escape can do different things. Right? So that's pretty cool stuff. So I'm just going to change this back to repeat last tests. Okay? And bind it in there. So for example, if we came in here, we did we ran the test, for example. And the tests fail. Close this down. We can hover over this piece right here. The method or operation is not implemented. Load from file. That's where we had the problem. So we can come in here. We can drill inside of this. We can say, okay, let's do this, and comment that out, and hit escape to come back. And actually, I don't even have to hit escape to come back. I can come back over here, hit that Control-T2 that I just bound in. And we should see it start to run and running the last test case. There you can see down here, 1 failed, 0 ignored. So we can jump back over into, we can jump back over into where we were. Whoops, that wasn't it. I already used my escape key to get back to it. Here we are right here. Let me rename this. Next time. Why isn't that working like that? That should totally work. Okay, so we have the problem right here with assert is true is failing. And so we can come back in here into load document from file, and we can say is empty that equals T like that, or equals true. So I just have an equals T and I hit the space bar or like something for the tab key. Now I hit Control-T2 and we should get a passing test. Yeah, now we have a passing test right there. Test is passed. If we go back over into class 1, we can see there we've got the green check by it. The test is passed. Okay. So, yeah, as you can see, by the way, you can ask me a question, and I can talk for a long time about, that particular, the answer to that particular question. So I'm curious about why this didn't work. It's still refusing to work. That's really interesting to me. I'm not sure why that's not renaming to that. I'm not sure. I don't know why that is. I've never seen that fail before. So again, like I say, mark the time. We'll have the devs look at this. It might have something to do with 2013, or it might have something, because I've seen it work in other places, even here during the session. It might have something to do with the fact that we were running this, and maybe things were still running, and so it's not making a change. But we'll look at it. Okay, are we ready to bring in Amanda?
We certainly are, Mark.
Great. Thank you, Mark. All right, everybody. Thank you. And thanks to Paul for assisting us. And of course, thank you all for joining us. And thanks for choosing DevExpress. Bye-bye, everybody.